I'm Yvette Essen, Head of Communications and Market Engagement for CyberCube, and I am joined by the keynote speaker at our Dimensions London conference. David Ferbrache, so delighted for you to join us today.
Absolute pleasure.
Would you mind telling me a little bit about your role at the moment at Beyond Blue and what else you have been doing in the background over the previous years?
Oh, thank you, Yvette. Well, I'm the managing director of Beyond Blue, small boutique consulting firm. We do crisis exercising, operational resilience, and also national cybersecurity strategy advice for clients. So that's a bit of me. Been in the field now for 30 odd years, actually. So I used to be head of cyber and space for the Ministry of Defence and did a whole range of other things. I was KPMG's global head of cyber futures, and I used to chair the Scottish Cyber Resilience Board for John Swinney as well.
Brilliant. And at the MOD, you were actually awarded an OBE afterwards. Can you tell me a little bit about that, your role on 9/11, I believe?
It was, yeah. So one of the roles I was in was helping the Ministry of Defence basically gear up to respond to 9/11. And frankly, work with the US who was hurt and in pain to develop the intelligence relationship and make sure that we can actually contribute capability to the US to help with the hunt for whoever had perpetrated 9/11.
Great. Well, very honoured to have you today. You have been the keynote speaker at our conference, Dimensions, with that theme, Dimensions, establishing the foundation for a resilient cyber market. Now, resilience was something you focused on. You called resilience a buzzword. Why is that?
Well, I think it currently is, and in a sense, cyber is too. But for me, the reason I'm really focusing on resilience is I've seen the cybersecurity community focus so much, rightly, on how to protect systems against compromise, detect it, rapidly respond. But sometimes now we're having to work on the assumption that that fails. And we've got a major ransomware event or a major compromise. So for me, it's how do we get resilient to those events? How do we build back quickly? How do we recover? How do we restore? And how do we minimize the impact we have on customers, suppliers, and the markets as we do that? So getting that resilience thinking for me is a complement to cybersecurity.
Another theme that you focused on was nation-state activity and geopolitics. What do you expect to happen in this very uncertain environment?
Oh my goodness, Yvette, you're asking for crystal ball gazing. Now come on.
That was the theme of your talk.
It was a bit of that, I agree. So if I look at it just now, you have to split out the nation states into separate countries, separate intents. So it's very easy for us to bundle it all together and talk about nation state. But China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, very different motivations. And what I think we're seeing with certainly maybe Russia and Iran now is cyber is just part of a broader geopolitical context and sometimes hybrid warfare as well. So sometimes it's worth putting yourself in the mindset of those countries and the conflicts they're involved in. And cyber for them is a way of projecting power at range. It's a way of attacking beyond the borders. And everything, I think, is linked back to what effect are they really trying to create. So we're going to see that, I think, increase. It's with us now at scale. And more targeting of operational technology and critical infrastructure, which is what's worrying the governments currently. But that feels very different from some other countries. So for me, it's about think about the threat actors, think about what they're trying to achieve at the political, the strategic level, and then work that down into where does cyber fit alongside military, sabotage, submarine cable attacks even. And that's a very different way of thinking about it. So not separate discipline, but part of a broader way of projecting power at range. So a bit different.
And finally, AI. A lot of the conference was focused on AI. What's your key takeaway on AI today?
So my key takeaway is we're heading into space for a period of time where there will be an attacker advantage enabled by AI. Downstream, that might not be the case, actually. So AI gives us a real opportunity to test our systems, to probe, to remove some of the bugs and the vulnerabilities that have been latent, they've been lying there for years. And Anthropic have found a vulnerability in BSD Unix. That's decades old. But for a period of time, I think the adversaries will have an advantage if they can harness AI to support targeting, reconnaissance, use deepfakes credibly, probe vulnerabilities and exploits. And we really need to work together to close that gap. So as quickly as possible to test our own systems, to plug the vulnerabilities, but also to AI enable our own defenses. And to do that, in partnership between the public sector and the private sector as well. There's a lot of data out there, but we can sometimes be quite fragmented in the way we fuse it, analyze it, and use it to help our response. So AI for me is both an enabler and a challenge.
Great. David, thank you for your time now, sharing your insights, and also for being our keynote speaker.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Yvette.
At the Dimensions Conference in London at Fishmongers Hall, I'm Yvette Essen.